First this morning, could a medical malpractice bill passed by the House in Washington last week affect our state's current situation? And if so, to what extent? We're talking about that this morning with local obstetrician Dr. Warren Volker. We want you to know that we invited some lawyers to attend our program this morning, but we were declined. So thank you very much for making time for us.
Glad to be here.
I'd like to start off before we do any misleading at all, that saying that the bill passed 270 to 203, not exactly a sweeping endorsement of the bill. And many say it really doesn't stand much of a chance in the Democrat-controlled Senate. But at least it does show that Nevada's not alone. There are other states in this crisis, and it also shows that at least there's an awareness of the problem, which maybe is a good first step. Is that encouraging at all to you, or do you feel like this is just, you know, another missed opportunity?
Oh, I think we're pretty encouraged. What it shows is that prior to this, there were also other bills that have been set forward, and I think the fact that this did pass, we expected it to be close, but as you said, the Senate is really where it's going to be the showdown of that. Okay,
now this, which passed in Washington, is it similar or almost exactly the same legislation that passed in California that a lot of people were pushing for during our special session?
Well, it's very similar to the California MICRA that was passed 25 years ago and has continued to stand the test of time. California has the best example of that. The national bill that would, basically implement it throughout the whole country it has the same major components that the California MICRA has, and the main things of it is the caps on non-economic damages, and also in the bill is where people who end up suing get more money from the lawsuit themselves, the actual victims themselves.
And that is a part of our bill here in Nevada that was that seems that there really was no say in that. And try to follow me on this because it's just a little bit complicated. But this bill that passed in Washington calls for a limit on lawyers' fees. 40% of the first $50,000 in damages, 33.33 in the next $50,000, 25% of the next $500,000, 15% of any amount over $600,000. That would actually, if this were to pass through the Senate as well, go into effect here in Nevada. Do you think that that's a pretty good scale? How will that help?
Well, I think what it does is it helps give more money to the people that are awarded. Okay. Because right now the way it is most lawsuits are brought forward on a contingency basis, where a law firm, once they incur their expenses, their are taken from the award, but also a percentage. And usually what happens, for example in California, is when a patient is injured and ends up with an award, they usually end up with 17% more of the award than they do, for example, in Nevada.
Okay, why is that good, or is it good?
Well, I think one of the things is if somebody has been damaged, I think they deserve more of the money. Part of it is also it does help take some of the financial incentives away for doing this, is I think part of it as well.
Okay, we don't have an attorney here. We did invite an attorney. We invited a couple, as a matter of fact, and they couldn't make it. But one of the theories is that if this was not so lucrative for attorneys, they wouldn't be so quick to file malpractice suits. Is that something you agree with? I know I'm asking you a question that I really would rather be asking an attorney, but just in your experience, do you think that could be true?
I mean, I think that's some of it. A lot of it is that this is what the doctors want. The doctors really want this for us, but actually this is what the insurance industry has told us. What the doctors want is affordable malpractice insurance. That's what we really want. And because in California, when they had their crisis back in '75, this is a model that's been shown to work. So the fact that we just want what will bring our premiums stabilized so that we can afford to practice.
Lawsuits today than there were 10, 15 years ago?
Yeah, and that's what it shows. And actually the Insurance Commissioner's Office in the state of Nevada, I mean, we're looking for the year 2002 over 240, 250 lawsuits, malpractice lawsuits. In the year prior, there was about 170. So we're seeing about a 50% increase alone. And one of the things that it costs money from the time a lawsuit is filed, even if, a lot of people say, well, a lot of those lawsuits never go on, but it's the cost time not only for the physicians, but everybody involved. Once a lawsuit is filed, whether it ever even goes to trial or not, it costs so much money in the system. So the more suits that are brought forward, it costs more in the whole system.
Okay. The special session ended about 2 months ago. Can you give us just an assessment of how much you think it helped up to this point? I know everyone kept warning, don't expect an immediate solution. This is something that's going to take time to really take effect, and the ripple effect to take hold. Do you have an assessment so far?
Well, first of all, I think the legislators that worked on this and the governor, I think they did the best job they could with what they had to work with. But I think what happened was we were really expecting, maybe a week or so after the special session that the insurance companies would somehow give us a break or give us an indication that maybe next year our premiums would either go down or at least stabilize. Fortunately, what they're waiting for is for this legislation to be tested. They said, we're not lowering our premiums until this has been tested. And that's going to take years. It's going to take 3, 4, 5 years. So until then, it's going to be really dicey as far as what's going to happen to our premiums, and are they going to continue to skyrocket.
The whole point of this is to cut down on insurance premiums, and a lot of people thought, in fact, some insurance lobbyists indicated to the governor that he, almost on good faith, they'd ease up a little bit, and that is not happening from what you're finding among one of the hardest hit groups of physicians, which is the OBGYNs.
Right. That's kind of what the hint was, that you pass this legislation and that would happen, and it hasn't at all, and we're continuing to lose doctors over that.
Okay, we're going to talk